Weak spots in World of Tanks with Dangerously Incompetent. The T29, USA's Tier 7 heavy tank. This thing has a very heavily armoured head and not so heavily armoured body. That's the basic thing you need to remember, and there aren't that many weak spots apart from that. So let's have a little gander. The view from the front, 280 on the mantlet, so you can take a lot on that. Sides of the turret are thick, 178, the cheeks rather, 178, and they're angled for equivalent 250 yards, so that's huge amounts of armour on that front of that turret. If you can see the commander's cupola, it's a lot thinner, but it's round and it's angled, so it's still pretty decent. So if all you've got is the turret, unless you can actually look down on the roof, it's commander's cupola, and it's only the top bit. The bottom bit is quite chunky too, and again we've rounded. These bits, there aren't hitboxes behind them. Those are just your viewfinders, so you can shoot them and knock his view range down, but you won't do any hits. Front of the hull, the upper half is only 100 odd millimeters, but it's quite slopey for 150, but it's a lot weaker than the old turret is on the front. And if you get to the lower hull, even thinner, 70 mils, it's quite well sloped apart from at the beak, so you want to aim at just below the beak, or maybe, although it looks nice and thin, that protruding bit there, if you're looking at it at the front, is well angled, so don't bother aiming for that. You want the lower hull. If he starts trying to angle his armour at you, yeah, that protuberance at the front is a nice weak spot. If he's trying to side scrape, still that protuberance, but even though the sides are thin, 50 mils at the back, 76 at the front, you're going to get ricochet, and those tracks are huge and get in the way of most of your shots. But once you've taken those tracks off, and if it's not a ricochet and he starts to turn too far to the side is hugely weak, easy place to penetrate. The back half is even thinner. Up on the turret, the front part, the cheeks, that's still hugely heavily armoured, don't hit him there. You want this long flat turret, but it's still significantly armoured and it has roundy bits. You want that back end, bottom of the turret for not a lot of armour, and even though it's curved, that's still the place to shoot if all you can see is the turret side, but the hull is what you want to shoot. In the rear, still fair old chunk of armour on the turret, but it's a lot thinner than it is at the front, and it's not very well angled, not rounded or anything. So if you've only got the turret to hit and the shoot in the rear, that's fine. But what you want is that lovely weak hull. 50 mils of armour. Yeah, anything you're going to meet at Tier 7 is going to go through that. So you don't want people behind you or on your side. You can just about get away with angling unless they start shooting this protuberance, or they've knocked your tracks off and then they get round to your side. So there you have it. Not many weak spots on this, really. Just a weaker hull. That's the only thing you have to remember. Shoot him in the hull. And then if you're desperate, the cupola, or if he's at an angle, that protuberance on the front. There you go. Now there's a special on extra XP for this line. So there'll be lots of these around to shoot next week or so. So use your knowledge, punish them.